Dear friends of Taiwan, I would like to express my sincere thanks for your gracious presence in celebrating with us the 109th National Day of the Republic of China, Taiwan. I'm very much delighted that so many of you were able to show support and join us, even though the prevailing circumstances do not allow traditional celebrations. Furthermore, I'm beyond excited about being able to offer you the growing virtual tour of the National Palace Museum in Taipei, as its 700,000 artifacts encompass thousands of years of intriguing art history. The ongoing year has been challenging for everyone, yet I have the pleasure to affirm that the good relations between Taiwan and Finland have continued to advance across the spectrum, and the two countries have become ever closer. For example, numerous members of the Parliamentary Taiwan Friendship Group signed a joint letter to the WHO to voice their support for Taiwan's participation. Taiwan helped Finland in the fight against the COVID-19 by donating 200,000 surgical masks to the Northern Hospital District. Representative Mikko Garbinen was appointed to the Finland Trade Center in Taiwan, and the two countries have just successfully concluded the 6th Finland-Taiwan trade talks. I cannot emphasize enough the importance of your support and cooperation in this regard, as without you, none of our achievement would have been possible. I would therefore like to take this opportunity to express my heartfelt thanks and gratitude to you all, especially to the Ministry for Foreign Affairs of Finland, the Finnish Parliamentary Taiwan Friendship Group, and its chairman, MP Mikko Garbinen. Lastly, I would like to thank the National Palace Museum for opening its doors for our friends in Finland. I wish you all a pleasant tour, good health, and a prosperous year ahead. Thank you.
October 10th marks the 109th year in the celebration of Republic of China here in Taiwan. Hello dear friends from Finland. I'm Amy Lin, volunteer docent of the National Palace Museum. As you may know, the museum took its roots from the former Qing Imperial Palace, the Forbidden City in Beijing. The palace was officially converted by the nationalist government on the same day 95 years ago as a double celebration for the country. 8 years after the opening, the museum faced threats from the invasion of Japanese troops. These national treasures were packed in wooden boxes and traveled across China in several routes over a span of a decade until World War II ended. However, Civil War soon broke out. A portion of valuable masterpieces and important historical documents were shipped to Taiwan by the nationalists in 1949 when the communists took over. This is why there are now 2 palace museums in the world. Given its unique history, the museum is strategically situated with natural barriers, as it's embraced by mountains. In fact, there's a secret tunnel connected to the mountain behind the main building with a storage vault inside. This museum architect inherits a classic palace look with a modern build, while the complex includes the main exhibition area, a library, and 2 beautiful gardens open to the public. The Palace Museum embodies a heritage with centuries of imperial collecting that can be traced back to the 10th century Song dynasty, while reached its peak under one of the most accomplished ruler in history, Emperor Qianlong of the Qing dynasty. Qianlong not only demonstrated a special affection for arts and antiquities, but also had them documented into catalogs, now an important reference for researchers. All these make the National Palace Museum unique from any other in the world. Given the size of the imperial collection, miniatures from different categories were arranged and stored into curio boxes like a toy chest for the Qing emperors to enjoy, even in their bedchamber. The display of curio box symbolizes the depth and breadth of Qing court treasures that also represent the museum collection in a nutshell. In front of you is a beautiful set of 18th century lacquer wood chest, customized for Emperor Qianlong. The red lacquer surface is incised with auspicious patterns, including phoenix and dragon, first filled with gold, then painted in green and orange, a technique that can be traced back to the Southern Song period and later also became popular in Japan. There are 3 layers inside, with hidden compartments holding various antiquities, including jades, ceramics, and bronze. There were also items made from Qing period. The box even kept a booklet with Qianlong's calligraphy transcription, a true personal curio of the emperor. The next piece we're going to see is a beautiful set of ivory craft. Ivory craft is one of the oldest art in China, while intricate carvings grew popular during the Qing dynasty and also sought after by European connoisseurs at the time. The works of the so-called Chinese puzzle balls from Canton were considered the zenith of traditional craftsmanship. This beautiful set of ivory work is one of the most prominent artifacts under the museum collection. A dragon fish hook at the top, with a chain in its mouth, hang a standing carving of 2 figures holding lotus leaf and peaches, followed by an ivory ball as a centerpiece. There are landscapes, pavilions, and figures in delicate relief carvings. And finally, a pendant with 2 immortals as boys holding lotus leaf. Traditional decorations are typically auspicious images, where lotus he, for example, is a homonym for peace and harmony, often associated with marriage blessings. If you look inside the ivory ball through these conical halls, you'll see layers of concentric spheres, each decorated with geometric pattern in openwork. In fact, they're carved from the same piece of ivory and can all rotate freely. For such a delicate and precious artifact, the museum researchers work with modern technology to look inside the ball and counted at least 17 layers to solve the puzzle. Quite amazing, isn't it? You're about to see 2 of the most popular masterpieces at the National Palace Museum, also known for their brilliant carving. Here we see a beautiful stone, carved in the shape of a Chinese cabbage sitting on a wood stand. If you think ivories are hard to carve, this piece is made of a much harder mineral called jadeite at about 6.5 to 7 in hardness scale, as compared with ivory's 4.85. At a close-up, there are 2 small insects camouflaged in green sleeves, believed to be locusts and a katydid. The jadeite cabbage was found in the bedchamber of a Qing emperor's consort, and therefore is believed to be a dowry. People often associate with the green and white colors as homonym for purity and chastity, while the insects as metaphors for having many children. This piece of auspicious work was originally planted on top of this cloisonné flower pot when found in the Forbidden City's Yonghe Palace. The museum has custom-made the wood stand as we see now for better visual presentation. Now is the time to see if you really know your Chinese dish well. Next to the jadeite cabbage is another brilliant piece of work made from an agate stone. It is a piece of pork meat as though it has been braised for hours. Numerous tiny dot-like dents were made on the top to create the porous-like skin effect. It is further dyed in brownish-red color to create this marinated sugar brown look. It certainly is mouth-watering, isn't it? Jade in ancient China were defined as any beautiful hard stones with warm luster and makes a clinking sound. Today, there are 2 specific mineral species with different qualities and relative hardness, as jadeite and nephrite. Bright green jadeites may be more recognizable in Europe, though nephrites, with colors ranging from opaque green to green-white, have been the predominant species, and highly praised through most of China's history. This is an imaginary hybrid creature from the Han Dynasty with the head of a dragon, the body of a lion, and the wings of a bird called 辟邪. Literally means to ward off evil spirit. Han was one of the Golden Age period, which coincided with the Roman Empire with significant expansion, including diplomatic expedition and economic trades. 辟邪may be inspired by chimeras from Persia brought by the Silk Road. Large stone 辟邪 images were often placed in tombs as guardians, while small jade 辟邪 were also made as auspicious ornaments. This ingenious piece of work exhibits the confidence of a lion, with its chest up and head high, while the lines of the body and the wings were carved with fluidity. The discoloration from green with brown spots make this piece even more archaic. Jade culture has been embedded in Chinese DNA, where early people came to associate these stones with spiritual qualities. This round disc object with a centric hull is one of the largest Neolithic jade in the world, at over 4,000 years old, called Bi. These mysterious objects were made in various sizes and have been associated with sky or heaven. The circular shape may represent the orbit of the sun, while the center hole being the North Star. Jade Bi became the most important imperial ritual object for the living, as well as a prestigious burial for the dead. They also have a long history as ornaments worn by nobility or as important imperial gift. In fact, they're still being worn like an amulet today. Around this jade disc are small jade birds from the East region, over 5,000 years old. Birds were believed to be messengers from the sky, where the East Clan people believed they were descendants of a spiritual blackbird and made objects like these to communicate their wishes and prayers. The East Clan descendants later came to rule China as Shang Dynasty and made this beautiful phoenix bird with precious jade. At a close-up, you can see the bird's hook, beak, and a curled tail. There's even a small dragon as its crown, all carved in low relief and open work with great precision. This jade piece was also once tied to a wooden stick used by the shaman in ritual ceremony to communicate with deities and ancestors. These jade works together represent an ancient cosmic view and spiritual belief of the Chinese civilization. Shang people also made sophisticated bronzes, reaching its peak in China's Bronze Age. Early bronzes were primarily vessels used by rulers and high-status nobility to host sacrificial offerings to deities and ancestors in ritual ceremonies. The type and number of bronze one can own was determined by the rank in the political hierarchy. Cauldron ding is the single most important class of bronzeware, derived from Neolithic cooking pot, which came to represent power and authority. This magnificent tripod cauldron is the largest bronze artifact in the gallery. It has a large round belly, elephant-like feet, and two large handles. The most striking feature on the bronze art is the sophisticated animal motif as seen around its belly. You can first look for the central ridge line representing the nose and a pair of round bulging eyes. Then you'll also see the flanks, horns, and the claws. This is a typical symmetrical design of the Shang period, which brilliantly combines into a face that gives a sense of solemnness and sacredness. These mysterious images were probably created to ward off evil and work as a medium to communicate with gods and ancestors. Inside the vessel, there are 11 characters inscribed in ancient Chinese that translates as, "Your grandson has casted this beautiful cauldron dedicated to Grandpa Ji to be displayed in the ancestral shrine, Bao Bing, which is the name of the grandson." The inscription of this artifact represents an example of earlier systematic writing in China. Chinese bronze is an alloy consist of copper, tin, and a smelt of lead. The bronze we see now have mostly lost their original golden look from oxidization and rather archaic. Given the remarkable durability of bronze, inscriptions gradually became an important medium for recording major events. The cauldron in front of you is one of the most important surviving Chinese artifacts, having the longest known bronze script of 500 characters inside with historical significance. The tripod was commissioned by Duke Mao that recorded the newly inaugurated King Xuan of the Zhou dynasty, who eagerly wished to revive the court and demanded his uncle Duke Mao to selflessly help in ruling the country. The young king also appointed Mao's clan as palace guard to ensure the safety of the royal family. Mao was rewarded with a long list of gifts and casted this cauldron in commemoration for it to be passed down for future generations to treasure. The inscription is done in seal script, evenly arranged and harmonious, also highly valued in its calligraphy. This cauldron was excavated during late Qing dynasty in 1843, already as a national treasure, and had nearly fallen into the hands of Japanese troops. It was presented to the nationalist government after the war and became a part of the museum collection. Music instruments were also important in ceremonies, especially in the Zhou dynasty, as music was believed to bring harmony to the society. Bronze bells not only played an essential part, but also a display of high technology. This bell was commissioned by King Shen's father, King Li, as the only known bronze from a Zhou king. It's designed with dragon pattern and 36 pillar-like protrusions, exhibiting the aesthetics of the time. The bell takes a flattish shape with curved bottom, brilliantly designed to play two separate tones with a short ring, also known as the dual-tone bell. Chinese bells were made in set and hang on wood stands to be played like a percussion instrument. The smaller the bell, the higher the pitch. King Li's bell recorded a victorious battle where he conquered a southern state that led to the submission of 26 other smaller states. He praised his ancestors for the glory and praised for eternal peace across the realm. According to traditional historical books, King Li was a corrupt tyrant that led to the revolt by the people and ended up in exile. His son, King Shen, worked to restore the kingdom as seen in the cauldron earlier. Bronze casting in China uses clay as its mold, while the powerful smelting ovens also encouraged the development of high-fire kilns that led to the earliest form of porcelain in late Shang dynasty and matured in Han. Chinese porcelain remained a monopoly for over a millennium and gained its world fame that the word China became synonymous with fine porcelain. The making of porcelain flourished during the Song dynasty as a period of great cultural expansion led by literati, represented by the popular monochrome glazes made by kilns all over the country. Some of the more refined pieces were reserved as tributes, while a few were chosen as official kilns that became the focus of imperial collection through the ages. Songwares are appreciated for their simplicity. Among such, ruwares have been the most highly esteemed among song salons. This exquisite piece is one of a kind, in the shape of a lotus flower with 10 petals, as a wine-warming bowl. The surface is covered in distinctive bluish-green glaze, with a tint of pink hue on the rim and edges. At a closer look, there are light crackle marks, as if a crab has crawled all over. These marks are a result of different rate of contraction between the body and the glaze. Crackles as such were highly appreciated by the Song and subsequent collectors. There are now only about 80-some ruwares known to exist, where the National Palace Museum has the largest collection in the world with 21 high-quality pieces. Ceramics in the subsequent Ming Dynasty saw an extraordinary period of innovation. Imperial kilns were set up in the city of Jingdezhen that made a famous blue and white porcelain, a decorative style with cobalt blue painted under the glaze at high fire. The making of blue and white ware reached its peak during the reign of Yongle, the emperor who moved his capital to Beijing and built the Forbidden City as his palace. This majestic blue and white vase features a dragon wandering through a sea of lotus blossoms with its head turned back, creating a dynamic image. The dragon is depicted with eyes wide open, having spiky hair and elephant-like nose, with mouth wide open showing its teeth, symbolizing power and royalty. The globular shape was considered an innovation from the Yongle reign, though may have also been an influence from the Middle East water containers. Blue cobalt pigments were actually imported from Persia during early Ming period. While these popular wares were widely exported and inspired imitative wares, including Islamic ceramics, and later also the tin-glazed earthenware such as the Delftware in Europe. Painting and calligraphy both involves the use of a round brush and ink to express lines and dots on silk or paper. Due to their fragile nature, works are rotated every 3 months in the museum display. The National Palace Museum categorizes their collection in 3 levels, highest being national treasures, followed by significant artifacts and general artifacts. We can now enjoy some of the rare works in the Spotlight on National Treasure Gallery. The exceptional piece from the Ming Dynasty exhibited here consists of 3 parts. It starts with an ink wash painting, then a calligraphy, and finally another painting. All are on the same theme of picking lotuses, mounted into one long scroll. The story had that avid connoisseur Xiang had held onto a piece of splendid calligraphy work written by his close friend Wen Peng, who's made a poem on picking lotuses. Years later, Xiang acquired a painting by great Ming artist Tang Ying depicting the same theme. He was so pleased that he matched the 2 masterpieces together and even painted one of his own picking lotuses. Reading from the right, a boat maiden in the foreground shuttles across a lotus-covered lake, with a willow tree on the left and mountain in remote distance. Blooming lotus symbolizes summer, while the blank whites suggest early morning mists. Landscape painting has a long history and enjoys a high status in China, given the philosophical belief emphasizing human and nature in harmony. The brevity and subtlety of this painting elegantly express such relationship with a poetic mood. Chinese writings are generally divided into categories, including the archaic seal and clerical scripts, or the standard and running script still in use today. The exhibited calligraphy is cursive script, unrestrained and expressive form of writing. This particular style is called wild cursive, where characters are often connected with fluidness or exaggerated with contrast on size and lines through the use of ink and speed, almost like an abstract art. At the end of the poem, Wen Peng wrote that he had been reading calligraphy by famous Tang Dynasty monk Huai Su that had inspired him on this work. He then added with a question, "What do you think?" as postscript to his connoisseur friend. Wen Peng was an accomplished scholar with multiple talents, and also a forerunner in the art of seal carving. Xiang Yuanbian often would ask Wen Peng's help on appraisal or writing postscript for his collection. Xiang, in fact, was one of the most important connoisseurs in the Chinese history who's also a cultural literati. The connoisseur's version of picking lotuses also became a part of the collection as we see today. You can also see the calligraphy of Emperor Qianlong, who's famous for writing personal thoughts or poems after appreciating his own collection, and often more than once on a piece of work he loved, which becomes an important source of information on these artworks. What these 2 great connoisseurs have in common is that both love to have their seals stamped all over their collections. Poetry, calligraphy, painting, and seals together make up the essential part of classic Chinese art and connoisseurship. Well, I hope you have enjoyed this tour, and this is only a gist of the abundant arts, culture, and history from the National Palace Museum waiting for you to explore. You can also visit our official website with lots of information on the various exhibitions, as well as virtual tours and educational videos. Stay safe and well.